girl. Look at that face. On this week's episode of Horribly Edited Videos, I wanted to do an update on Stella. We've been doing some intermittent updates on the babies here and there, but I figured it's time for a mama update. I also realized I can do a enclosure update as well. Hi, sweetie, do you want to come out? So she laid in February of this year, it's 2024. And then she did MI, and the eggs pipped May 11th, and she got off of the clutch a few days after that. So she is, what is it, September? Middle of September. So it's been about 4 months since she came off of her eggs. Don't mind that, it's clean, it's just stained. I need to get some stain remover for that PVC shelf. So yeah, this is her 4 months post eggs pipping, post getting off of the nest, and her enclosure she's been living in for about a year. You look freaking adorable, but can you come out for the people to see? Come on, sweetheart. Seriously, how are you that cute? Oh my gosh. Look at those scopes. Look how pretty you are. Hi, honey pie. This is why I have her in a 4 foot tall enclosure. She loves to scope. And she scopes well above the 2 foot range from where she used to. Hi, you can come out and say hi. Come on. I'm chopped liver because I don't have food for her. Trying to see if she'll come out on her own. But we're multitasking a little bit because I need to clean April. And this is a fun April quirk. She almost always goes to get a nice drink of water as soon as I open her enclosure. It's always there. She is a very social drinker. I don't know why. April, you're silly. Okay, finally worked her out. She is looking way better in terms of body tone. I used the hook. She's been a little more food motivated lately. She still has yet to come out hot, but she does kind of show that excitement for potential food. So I always have the hook handy just in case I didn't need to use it to get her out. But she, as you can see, she's looking way thicker than when she first came off her eggs. And I will link that video. I have an MI journey video with her maternal incubation, and kind of share more info there. But for this video, I just wanted to show everyone how much better she's looking. So she was right around 40 pounds when she went into MI, like right before she laid, when she was gravid. Centauri, that's not your house. Centauri is exploring. That's not your house, sweetie. 40 pounds right before she laid. When she came off her eggs, she had been off food for a few months, and she was down to about 17.5 pounds. So she lost a little over half of her body weight, which is a lot. And now she's back up to right around 30, maybe a little bit over 30 pounds now. So she's looking great. I always look at muscle tone and body conditioning as well as the number on the scale. So she's looking pretty darn great. Are you headed to the window, sweetie? I have a window open. I also have April out. So we're just having a little bit of a multitasking party. They like to hang out often together. Where are you going, April? By an open window. Do you want me to open the other window so you each can have a window like last time? Hi. All right, in terms of her enclosure, I haven't done much since she came off of her nest aside from removing her nest. Her MI nest was kind of back underneath that RHP panel that's on the roof, on the ceiling rather, on the other side of her enclosure, and her nest was on that top shelf, and then the hide that is currently down, oh, there's a ficus tree in the way, down underneath that black hide was on top of the nest to provide her with a little bit more coziness and easier maintenance of humidity. Now, in terms of enclosure maintenance, it's been pretty easy because she has a really healthy colony of isopods in here. So she had aerated right here. I cleaned it up, and what I've been doing, since she has such a healthy isopod colony, is simply intermittently mixing up the substrate to aerate it and keep it nice and fresh, which has been working wonders. Now, when I do aerate it, if I notice like those kind of clouds of dust come up, well, that's one of the reasons I take her out while I do this, because that's important. And it kind of lets me know where her moisture level is in the dirt. And if it needs a little extra moisture, I simply water the plants. And speaking of plants, all the plants that are currently in here, she has this is a ruby ficus that is getting very tall. And she has a couple of rubber trees, Ficus elastica, and then the ZZ plants back in those corners. Those are all the original plants that got planted with this enclosure when I first set it up. They are doing well. We've actually been able to take a couple cuttings from these trees to propagate. Hi, you coming back? Now, something I do, or have learned to do since she's been in here, she will climb on these poles. She likes them. They're a little bit sturdier, or much sturdier than these guys. So she usually climbs on these branches or the shelves, but she will, in her attempts to get to those branches, kind of push down some of the ficus trees, especially the really tall ones. So I just brace the roots with big cork rounds, and that seems to help a ton. Plus they act as an extra hide. Stella loves this corner. Come here, can you stay out for a little bit longer? So yeah, that's been working really well. The other thing that I found works really well in maintaining and maintaining this bioactive setup is whenever she poops, I will clean out the majority of it. Oh, somebody's here. All right. So I closed the door because she kept on trying to go in there. So I mix up any poops that she makes. I will mix up any that I don't take out of the enclosure into the soil, and it works really well in providing the isopods with food. So that's been incredibly functional, and it keeps the enclosure from smelling bad. Additionally, behavior-wise, something that I have noticed about Stella, she still isn't quite back to her super interactive self like she was right before she laid. And I don't know if that's because she's still putting on a little bit of weight or what she's doing. April. Or if she just gets extra clingy and interactive when she is gravid, because she was very, very clingy and just wanted to climb onto my shoulders pretty much every day, probably the last 3 to 4 weeks before she laid. So that was interesting. So, but yeah, she's getting there. She has days where she really wants to come out and days where she'd just rather hang out in her nice big cozy home. Centauri, you have, oh my gosh, I have Centauri, April, and Stella out right now. And you just got a face full of, gross spider web. Nasty face, come here. Thank you. Oh, is she mad? I'm sorry. So something I wanted to show you all, so I think it's kind of cool, since I have all three of these girls out right now. So Centauri and Stella, so Stella's this girl, Centauri's this girl. They are the same color morph. So they are platinum anery, and then Centauri is a tiger, and Stella is a motley. So the only difference between the two is their pattern morphs. And did I call Centauri April earlier? I meant Centauri. So I think it's really interesting to see the color difference and the variation within the morphs themselves. The only thing that might be different is we think Stella is het white and Centauri is het purple. So that could have some play in the visual aesthetic, but it's just really fascinating to see the difference. And then April is our 50% Kayuwati Doc Murdoch line girl. She is, so let's do a little size breakdown really quick. So 50% Kayuwati, that is a Superdorf locality. She is 5 years old. Superdorf, 50% Kalatoa. She's also got a little bit of Jamp in her. And she is 9 years old this year. She's 12 feet. April O'Neil is 9 feet. And then Centauri is, let's see if I can remember this right, 37.5% Jampea And, oops, I'm sorry, April, 12.5% Calicoa. There we go. So she's a little less. She's technically a dwarf. And she is 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. Oh, sorry. And I'm gonna look at the size difference in age and locality. So really interesting. Centauri has every chance to get just as big as Stella. So it's just kind of a good reminder if you are interested in a baby, whether it's one of Stella's girls or someone else, they do get bigger. Sometimes it takes them a while, but they will grow. And knowing the kind of size genetics of the parents and even the grandparents can be super helpful in getting a better estimate on how big they will be as an adult. So 9 foot long, 5 years old, 12 feet long. Look at you guys, 9 years old. And then Centauri is just around 7, I think. I think she's 7 and change. She's close to Aries size at this point, and she is 2 years old. So just really cool to see the size and the morph variations. Yeah, I think it's cool. And one of the things to consider that we talk about anybody inquiring about one of Stella and Aries kiddos from this last clutch is making sure that they are aware of what they are getting into. So retakes are very active, so maintaining them in a ethical, responsible way takes a lot of time and takes a lot of space. So Stella's enclosure is 12 feet long, 4 feet tall. April's enclosure is a little smaller. It's 8 feet long, 2 feet tall. We are in the process of giving everybody upgrades just to ensure that they have enough space to engage in enrichment at any time, so they don't have to, we're not relying on them coming out of their enclosures to get enrichment. So just something to be aware of if you are interested in getting into this species, because they are definitely a little bit more high maintenance. No, you can't go up there. Come here. I also like to get into as much trouble as I can. Come here. Oh my gosh. Just in case you're wondering what a 9-foot snake weighs, or at least retic, girl, she weighs, last time we weighed her, she was 12 pounds, which wasn't that long ago. So 9 feet and 12 pounds of snake, not too bad. They're actually pretty manageable because they don't get super thick like boas. Hey, sweetie, what you doing? So they're a little bit lighter, and they do move a lot. They move a little bit more than at least our boas that are in our care, but they're pretty easy to maneuver because they are a little bit lighter bodied. Just snakes everywhere. My dream. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this week. Hopefully this is a little bit shorter. I always say I'm going to do a shorter video on any particular week, and it winds up being way longer than I planned, but hopefully that was useful. I know some people have been asking for an update on Stella's enclosure. We're going to do a full bioactive setup video very soon, so keep your eyes out for that. Hi. Oh, did you get? She gets my hair in her nose, and then she wipes her face on my face. You're silly. She's extra. That's April for you. And yeah, if you would like to join us on Patreon, we do a lot of kind of extra bonus videos, and some really fun discussions have been happening over there. So you don't need, oh my gosh, this is what happens when I try and close with an April. So yeah, patreon.com/thecurlyhairedkeeper is where you can find that information. You can also always go to thecurlyhairedkeeper.com for additional info as well. And what else? Yeah, I'll toss all of those bits and bobs of information in the description below. So check that out if you are curious. And I'm gonna sign off so I can wrangle these girls back and make sure that they are enrichment satiated. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week, weekend, day, night, whenever this video finds you, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye. Good girl. You'll see that? April, your butt's out.